Ladies and gentlemen, it's currently January 2024, and it's Magnus Carlsen month on chess.com. I know that sounds like a fake holiday or a fake celebration, but chess.com always has fun and interesting bots. And this month, there are many different types of Magnus Carlsen ones. Now, I tried to play the Magnus Carlsen bot, the boss, 2882 rated, and I couldn't beat him no matter what I did. So in this video, I decided to do what I did with Mitten's bot a year ago. I would play the bot, and Stockfish, the most powerful chess computer in the world, would help. But a year ago, I alternated moves with Stockfish when I went to beat Mittens. In this video, I did something completely different. Stockfish would only help me like a lifeline in a video game. I was only allowed to ask Stockfish for help once in the first game. If I lost, it would be twice, then it would be 3 times, and I would see how many hints I would need to actually take down Magnus's top AI. This made for some really interesting chess because I had to read Stockfish's mind for a bunch of its suggestions, and it made it really, really difficult. As always, a friendly disclaimer, you cannot and should not do this in real rated games. I was playing against a bot. This is all for content. And with all that said, let's get into the games. But first, I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Surfshark. Surfshark is a VPN, or virtual private network, which allows you to encrypt your connection to the internet so you can browse it privately and anonymously. And there are several reasons why you may want to do this. Number 1, you're traveling, and the hotel Wi-Fi is unsecured. Well, if you use a VPN, you'll feel more comfortable logging into sensitive portals, like banks. Number 2, let's say you really enjoy streaming a certain show. One day, because of a licensing contract, your favorite show is no longer available. Well, if you use Surfshark, you can connect to another country and see their catalog. And frequently, your favorite show will return. And last but not least, my favorite, geo-pricing. The next time you're booking a plane ticket or a hotel and you're trying to go away on vacation, connect using Surfshark to a different location around the world, and there's a good chance airfare or something else will be at a lower price. Folks, I've been talking to you about Surfshark the entire year. Hopefully you know how this works at this point. Click that link in the description, and that'll get you 83% off and 3 free months. But there's also multiple Surfshark plans. You can go for starter, you can go for 1, and you can go for 1 plus, which even comes with Incogni. Surfshark is available to use on unlimited devices and is supported by basically every type of device known to humans. So definitely consider Surfshark today. Now let's get back to the video. Thank you, sponsored Gotham. My friends, it's time for game number 1. In this game, I am only allowed to talk to Stockfish once. One time, and that's it. Now, the Magnus bot opened with a queen's pawn. I played a queen's gambit decline. My idea was this. If I play a solid opening, I don't play an opening that requires a lot of tactics and a lot of calculation. At some point, I will consult with the best computer in the world, and maybe it'll help me in a pivotal moment in the late middle game or an endgame. If we get into a big tactical battle, I might just die. So, like, Stockfish can help me once, but it's not going to be very useful. I thought this was going to be a very interesting experiment, because I thought, you know what, Stockfish is going to come in, right? You obviously shouldn't do this in real games, but it's interesting to learn. Like, it's kind of fascinating to see whether you see things or not in certain positions. By the way, I obviously did not have this either, so I played the game blind. I'm giving this here for you. This is a standard Queen's Gambit declined. White plays the exchange variation because the pawns are getting exchanged in the center of the board. You did not need me to tell you that. And now Black just develops pieces as follows. There's a lot of lines here. Black can castle. By lines, I mean not things you have to memorize, but rather approaches that Black can take to the position. Some are here. Some involve putting a bishop on f5. I decided to play this knight maneuver first, which tries to target the bishop. And then I castled, and then I traded off this. H3 is not a particularly good move. White should really consider castling in this position, but H3 is fine. It stops anything from going to G4. It also stops knight H5. So if, like, my opponent castled, you know, I can play this. And I can get the bishop without giving away my bishop. And so the Magnus bot prevents knight H5 by creating a space for the bishop. At which point, you know, White could even consider moves like G4 to try to attack me. So the Magnus bot played H3. I traded the dark squared bishop like this. And I thought, well, I'm off to a great start. You know, I'm going to put my rook in the center. Life is good. Magnus bot played queen C2. I thought it was a little silly to consult the bot because it's a queen's gambit declined. A lot of my different plans in this position could be correct, but I decided to get aggressive. I decided to make a stand here. I'm going to play B5. I know the bot is going to come open the center of the board, but I feel like after the exchanges, that is when I will get to consult with the overlord. And this is what I did. We traded a bunch of pieces, and I thought, you know what? That pawn's weak. and maybe I have a chance. Now, again, my goal is to beat the Magnus bot. It's not to draw the Magnus bot. So it's very difficult to play for a win in a Queen's Gambit declined exchange variation. Like, if you're playing a really strong Grandmaster, the chance of black winning is low. If you're playing a really strong AI, the chance of winning is even lower, because it's just such a, like, the computer's not gonna blunder. It's not like a human. So I brought my rook, it went rook c1, and I kind of thought, okay, I'm in a lot of trouble, because this is what we call a backwards pawn. Backwards pawn is a pawn whose neighbors have gone forward and left it behind. So it's only protected by pieces. It's no longer protected by pawns, but what makes it backwards is it can't actually move forward, right? If I could go here, life would be good. Like, if I could get this position, oh, black is like chilling. It's great. Play c4, take more space, but I can't move the pawn. And so since I can't move the pawn, white is also at all moments threatening to play queen c5. And this move will just stink up my position. It's not going to be good to deal with. It would be a mistake for white to take with the d pawn, because although that's under pressure, you block all of your pressure. Now, you do remove the isolated pawn, so there might be some merit to that move, but overall, it's better to keep the pressure on the black pawn rather than closing the file. Now here, I thought I was making good improvements to my position, but the problem is, you're playing a bot, right? And so, since you're playing a bot, at some point, you just assume you're gonna blunder, because that's life. Like, the psychology of playing a human and a robot, very, very different. So I just thought, you know what? I'm gonna go king h8, king h8, king g8. I'm just gonna bounce my king back and forth, because I don't think white can make any progress. Now, as it turns out, this is one of the top computer moves in the position. Did not consult here. And here, to my shock, Magnus went for this endgame. He traded off a pair of rooks and a pair of knight versus bishop, and we went here, and I thought, wait a minute, I can't lose. Like, so what if he takes my pawn? I'm gonna take his pawn on e3. So I brought my king back into the game, and he took us into a rook endgame, and I thought, wait a minute, I can't lose. I'm actually holding even with the Magnus bot. I mean, he applied pressure, he grabbed the pawn, but he lost one on the way out. And my idea was, like, after king g8, if he goes to guard this pawn, I will go here. And so I thought knight c6 doesn't make sense, because rook c7 wins, because I pinned the knight to the queen. That was my plan. But then we went here, and I thought, okay, well, it's a bot, right? So it's obviously trying to trade into a winning pawn endgame. When you're in a rook endgame, you really want to avoid trading into an endgame where you might lose like this. Pass pawn is very powerful. So I didn't trade rooks. I played rook e4. Bot went d5. And around here, I decided, well, there's no way I can lose this, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my king. He's going to push. I'm going to get back in time. I have to get back in time. I have to leave 2 squares to advance. And then I played f6. And I'm going to bring my king and my rook. I thought, oh, that's it. I mean, I can't believe this. I'm actually going to draw the Magnus bot in a rook endgame. And then I realized this is not so easy, because he has an outside pass pawn. He has an a pawn, which is the worst kind of pawn that he can have. Here, I thought I can give up my g pawn and win his a pawn. That was my plan. And even if I lose my pawn completely, this is an issue. He could defend himself, but he's going to advance. I did all this myself. I'm very proud to say, and I thought I made it to a drawn endgame. To draw a 2 versus 1 endgame, you just have to know the Philidor position. But then it got a little dicey. Then all of a sudden, his bot started pushing and pushing. And I was like, okay, wait a minute, did I mess up? And right here, I thought, uh-oh, this was a mistake. It was very silly of me to go up. I should have went back. If I just hang back, I can't lose. It's unlosable, because I'm cutting off his king. And even though I'm cut off, I mean, I'm walking up to the pawn. So I made a little bit of a boo-boo. And here I decided to use my Stockfish privilege. And Stockfish right here told me I can play f4, trading off the pawns. Now, if Magnus were to take me, I would stop the pawn easily. But he didn't. He gave me several checks. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting there going, okay, I know if I go back and I take, and he takes, 2 versus 1, 2 versus nothing, H and F is a drawn rook endgame. If you don't know that, you don't know that. All good. But I thought, wait a minute. What about this maneuver where I get to g5 and rook h4? Well, as it turns out, this is a draw. But I thought I was losing. You see, Stockfish played f4, seeing all of this. It suggested that I lose 2 pawns in a rook endgame, And I just check Magnus until I can't check him anymore. Apparently, because white is so frozen, he can't move. So if I just hang out on the 6th rank, I can't lose this endgame. King e4? I mean, I can even check. I can check, I can take, and take, right? So if I had just realized I actually have a defensive fortress and he can't make any progress, it's a drawn rook and pawn endgame. But I didn't realize that, and I blundered, and Magnus can win the game by playing h6. What's crazy is that the bot didn't play h6 and it went here, but I still could not find the right drawing setup, and I played very passively, and now I'm losing. Which is fascinating that Stockfish just knew that this was a draw. It knew this was a draw because I just have to protect the promotion. So h6, and I can give a bunch of checks, and the king, even though the king could try to run to e6 and f7, it never works. Because rook e6 here, now I take. No, I don't take. I play rook. King g8? Oh. It's mate. It's mate. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, I mean, this was crazy. Game 1, I did my best, but I lost in a ridiculous rook endgame. One Stockfish suggestion was not good enough. I am not good enough to beat Magnus, but equal terms with one Stockfish suggestion. So I played game 2, and this one was a Vienna. I got white in this game, and I played a 2 knights Vienna. He went after my bishop. I played actually what's in my course. I played the course, my e4 course on Chessly, and I got a very nice setup. I put a bunch of pawns on light squares because I traded my light squared bishop. Then I went here, and here I was shocked that Magnus allowed this and this. And in this position, I was like, wait a minute. Really? Like, he has a horrible structure. He has doubled pawns on the F file, a pawn island on the H file, and I'm just going to play knight d5. And if he ever goes here, this becomes a weakness. Now, here I consulted Stockfish for the first time in the game, and it was to decide whether to castle king or queenside. I wanted to go here, I wanted to play rook d1, and I wanted to play f4. Stockfish didn't like allowing f5. And so what it recommended is I castle queenside. Now, of course, both looked very nice. I also wanted to go g4. But I didn't know if overcommitting a pawn, you never know, right, in chess, if you're stopping a plan or overextending. Right? So it suggested that I go here and play g4, and black cannot play f5 here because I have take, knight d5. That's the difference. Is that I attack this and this. If I castle short f5, then after takes, he apparently can in between move me and attack my rook. That's the difference. The difference is that f5 take, there is no in between move because my rook is not hanging, apparently. Apparently that's the big idea. Although I don't get it. And then I guess, I don't know. That's why it is. That's what Stockfish is. And so I got this massive clamp on the position. I got all my pawns on light squares. I traded off my light squared bishop. My opponent has no mobility. I thought, oh, this is the game right here. It's only going to take me one more Stockfish suggestion, and I'm going to beat Magnus just easily. All right? Me with 2 suggestions, boom, easy. He went here, I went here. I thought, and he's trying to do all of this, trying to break apart my pawns, give me doubled sets of isolated pawns. I was like, easy peasy, knight d5. He defended himself. And then I thought, game's over. Like, I did all of this on my own. I'm improving my position. f4 was a nice idea. I also can slow play it with knight c. I thought f4 take. I'm going to put my knight here, knight h5. I'm going to win the game. He went b5. That move scared me. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to use my second privilege. I really don't like counterplay when my opponent is an AI. And Stockfish found a nice idea here, which actually in retrospect, I probably could have found myself. The idea is quite nice. The idea is c5. And the point of this idea is on display because if he goes here, he opens up the line to his bishop. And knight e7 is actually not the move. Knight e3 is the move. And the idea of knight e3 is to attack the bishop, and when the bishop moves, you trap the other one. That is pretty gangster. I did not see that. c5 is, I thought, for knight e7, and then maybe you sack, and then you play knight f5 check, and this is good. but it's even better to go whoop, whoop. That's badass. I mean, backwards knight moves in chess, some of the hardest to see. But then I did see this. I am now out of stockfish moves, and I thought, oh, this is so easy. Now I go here, he takes, I take, he's completely locked down. I'm gonna take his queenside pawns, his bishop can't get into the game, easy. And I played f5 and lost all my advantage. Apparently what I should have done instead of rushing, is I should have just stepped out. And I should have just said, both your bishops are terrible. And I'm trying to play f5, and you know, when I saw this, I was like, damn it, it's so obvious. You ever analyze your chess games, just period, and realize, oh, obviously the bishop is stupid. And if he goes here, I play f5, and then his bishop has to go, oh, I'm completely winning, duh. Why would I trade his bishop for my knight, you know? I just thought, oh, but of course I should go back because his bishop is terrible. But I thought, oh, I just get my rook in. Oh, no, no, no. Now, I didn't know that in the game. I still thought I was winning. He went here, and then I thought, oh, but this is simple. I take, and I get the passed outside pawn. Like, his position is so terrible. There is no chance he has here. Rook A, easy. Trade everything, and then just start pushing the A and B pawns. I thought, this is so simple. What an easy endgame. I'm going to get my knight back to these squares. I'm going to play bam, bam, bam. Get my rook out, A4, A5. Easy peasy. He's going to bring his bishop. I'm going to play A4. He's going to go back. You know, I thought this game is going to play itself. He's going to run his king. I'm going to play knight D5. Like, I thought, look at my light squared control. I'm totally dominating. And then I forgot something. I forgot I was playing a bot, so we just went here. And it's creating counterplay very quickly. And at this point, I panicked. I really panicked because I thought this was coming. And I thought, after something like take, this is going to be a runaway pawn. Like rook c4, I can stop it, but it looks very scary. As always, the computer is not concerned. And after rook b6, rook c8, it wants to play d5, but actually white is still better if I play just a4. If I just relax, play d5, bring my king, sack this pawn, and play rook b4, I'm fine. But I got really scared here. I really panicked because I thought I threw away my advantage, which I did. I had a feeling around here. I mean, this looks like a great position, and it was, until I traded a little too quickly, which is a lesson. And then immediately here comes stockfish, and it takes, and the pawn just gets through, and I mean, this absolute moron becomes a hero. I allowed Magnus Bot's complete idiot bishop, who just sat on the, like, this bishop just sat on the edge of the board for the entire game doing literally nothing. Nothing at all. It was standing around, and it wasn't even looking good. And it was just like... And then when the dust settled and I got all of this, somehow I allowed this complete imbecile pawn structure to become a total hero. And it's just interesting, you know, that's just how chess goes sometimes. You allow a little bit of mobility and free room to your opponent, and they punish you for it. Actually, my original idea here was to do this, which is genius. It's a really nice blockade, except that it loses the game. I forgot about that. And after something like b4, he takes, I can't take because my rook is hanging, and I lose. I just lose because the pawn gets through, like king c2, e3. You know, king d3, rook d8. And suddenly, these pieces that were not doing a thing become heroes. They become... Right, and that was really frustrating because I really thought that was going to be the game. I really did not want to rely on more moves because I thought I did a really good job on my own. So now we have to play a game where, damn it, I got to rely on Mr. Stockfish for 3 moves. In this game, I played a Scandinavian. I played a Scandinavian because I thought it's going to be a little bit more dynamic. And with 3 references to Stockfish, maybe I'll be all right. Take, queen a5, knight f6. I thought, all right, we're good, c6. Normal stuff, we're playing a Scandinavian. Here, let's play bishop b4, let's trade, okay. We get out, normal stuff, knight f6, normal stuff. And here I was like, oh god, what is this? I didn't need Stockfish here, he was trying to trap my bishop, so I played h6, knight d5, take, and I thought, okay, that's easy, right? This is relatively straightforward, this position. I mean, I got here, I thought I still got all 3 up my sleeve. he went h5, I went bishop h7, and here I use my first one. I used my first one because this is the complete opposite of what I wanted. You see, if I was in a dynamic battle against an AI, and I knew I had 3 references to check Stockfish, I would want a bit more of a tactical position because it could actually do something definitive. The more time that I have in an equal game with many pieces on the board, remember, I'm trying to win. So like, how do I win this? Well, I thought, let me see what it comes up with. And Stockfish came up with an interesting idea. Rather than playing c5, which is fine, and trying to make a little bit of middle game progress here, it opted for this. And the idea of queen f5 was it wants a queen trade. And I understood it wants a queen trade. Oh, sorry. Knight e3 hangs the bishop. Let's say bishop g3, queen c2. It wants a queen trade because white has pawn weaknesses. You see, white overextended. And so if we get into an endgame, let's just say like this, 2 pawns on light squares, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. The computer is already saying that the bishop pair and 2 pawns stuck on light squares like this is pretty bad for white. So I played queen f5 and my intention was to trade the queen. And I was immediately punished for my intention because I'm now getting mated. Okay? Stockfish clearly saw all of this and thought, well, just they're stupid. And I realized that. But it's really it's actually incredibly hard to take guidance from an AI because it doesn't explain itself. It made me wander my queen into the territory, and now I'm thinking, oh God, like, do I go out here? That looks stupid. Why would I leave my king? You know, he's gonna go here, 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 here. Like, I'm gonna get mated. I'm a human being. I don't want to put my queen on the outside of the board, and yet it's better for black. It's minus 0.15. So it's fascinating, right? And that actually goes to show you how stupid y'all look when you cheat. What people don't realize when they cheat at chess is how hard it is to hide it. That's why y'all get caught. That's why y'all shouldn't cheat. Because if you see, I'm playing Magnus bot, right? In this game, and I'm using Stockfish a tiny amount, and it's not helping at all. At all. And if I do it anymore, well, then that's basically Stockfish playing, right? So I went here, and then a couple moves later, I was like, you know what? I don't know why it made me do this, because I'm gonna get mated. Now, it doesn't think I'm gonna get mated. The computer's best move is b6. Okay, bishop, knight here, it wants to take. Then it has this idea f5, and then there's even a draw, a forced draw. Here, and king h8 doesn't help because I can't take, right? It would have taken. It would have played here. And this would have been a perpetual. Yeah, but I went for a queen trade because that's what I thought I had to do. Now I'm worse. Now I'm worse. Now I am in a worse position. f3, c5, and I'm like trying to do my best. I accidentally allow the pawn to come through. Should not have done that. In this position, I should have kicked out the bishop with f6, like here, and then I should have taken, creating an isolated pawn, and I should have put pressure on the isolated pawn. That's the way I should play this position. I didn't do that. I allowed d5, and then I allowed d6. And at this point, I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna lose with 3 Stockfish suggestions. Because it suggested a plan that I completely didn't understand. Now, at this point, I asked Stockfish for help because I just thought I was gonna lose. It's not gonna help me much. It really isn't. What it gave me was to trade the rook, and the idea was g5. Like, I could play g5 now, or I could play it. So it did this, and then I was like, why did it make me do that? I'm gonna lose my c-pawn. So I didn't even understand its suggestion. I was like, what? So I played here, and then I started bringing my king, and I realized, here's what I realized. This is the 38th move of the game. Stockfish asked me 7 moves ago in this position to play this g5 idea. But I was like, why? That's because it saw rook e2, king e2, g5 en passant here, rook d4, king f7, rook c4, g5, bishop e5, king e6 attacking the bishop in this, bishop goes to d4, targeting the pawn. I can take the pawn. He can't take on a7 because pawn to b5 attacks the rook and attacks the bishop. rook e2, king e2, g5 en passant, fg, rook d4, g5, bishop e5, king f7, rook c4, king e6, bishop d4 attacking my pawn. And Stockfish saw he can't take because b5 discovered attack and attacks the rook. This is what we're dealing with here when you try to use Stockfish, but then Magnus bot played rook c8, so I was on my own again. And I went rook h7 thinking if bishop here, I can play b5. And then I got here and I thought, oh, I can't lose because it's an equal endgame, right? I'm just going to push my pawns. Like, I'm going to push the pawns. That's what I'm going to do. So he went here, and I thought, oh, this is easy now. This is easy. I mean, I'm passive, but I got pawns, right? Here come my pawns. I'm going to start pushing my pawns. Just h4. And this was my moment. I had one more reference to Stockfish, but you will remember, the plan is to beat Magnus. The plan is not to draw. So I already drew Magnus on my own. I don't need Stockfish's help to draw him. Rook h4 check, just as an in-between move. Trading all the pawns. Now I just have to not blunder anything stupid. And I was very proud of my defensive idea, actually. I think I referenced Stockfish just one more time somewhere here. It was how to deal with the incoming pressure. But it's a draw already. And I found a nice idea here, which is this. Bishop e3, he can't take, because I'm going to take his rook. He can't grow. He also, by the way, just for the record, in case anybody's confused, he cannot take my pawn. Because if he takes my pawn, I give a check. He has to stay guarding this, and actually, he would lose, because after this, I would just push, and he can't get back to g7. That is the reason he cannot take on g7, on b7, rather. He can't come back and stop the pawn. So the lesson there is, make sure your rook can get behind a pawn like that and is not stopped by a king, which is defended right now, but I would take the bishop, and that would be that. So king d5, and I found this nice idea, bishop c5. If he takes, I take the bishop, and he tried to mate me, but then I found rook e5. This was the nice final touch. Rook e5, and this is a defensive fortress. My bishop protects both my pawns, and he can't mate me. I mean, he can mate me if I, like, allow it, but he didn't bribe me enough, so I'm not going to do that. So bishop f2, and it's a draw. It's a defensive fortress because he can't win both of my pawns. He goes to win this one will promote. He goes to win this one, I will get to that one. So I think we played a few more moves, and my king got out. And I mean, if anybody's playing for a win, it's black, by the way, because, you know, you could be careless with white, and all of a sudden, black is going to win your b pawn. So be very careful. I mean, it's probably still a draw, but no need for any of this. So I drew, but I didn't win. So we go to this game. I need 4 potentially Stockfish suggestions to help me to beat Magnus bot. I played a Trumpowski. I took on f6. And then I played a normal setup, and he attacked me right away. I was really annoyed. I was just going to play a Trumpowski, trade my bishop, put pawns on dark squares, bishop e2, knight e2, knight, blah, 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 blah. No, this dude, Magnus, started harassing my king. Immediately, he played queen a5 check. I was like, leave me alone, bro. What do you... Then he played this. I was like, what the... I was so mad. I was so mad. I was so annoyed. Because I was like, he's trying to go bishop b2. And, like, if I castle, he's trying to go here, here, here. Like, that's so stupid. Apparently, he's not, by the way. Apparently, that's not the idea at all. I castled, and then he went here, and I thought... I'm going to lose my pawn. But it's actually not that simple, because after queen a2, I can play rook a1, and the queen is trapped. So I can play, like, queen d3 and win the queen. Right? Not that simple. He went here, and I thought, okay, I have 4 Stockfish suggestions. Let me use one now. It came up with a very interesting idea. It came up with this. I didn't even think of that. Like, and the idea of that move is actually very fascinating. It's the fact that he can't take. He can't take because if he takes, I trap his bishop. His queen has to guard the bishop, and I'm going to go queen d3 or queen c2 or rook c1. Rook c1, bishop b2, actually. b4. So h6, the best move is queen d3 or b4. And then if this, I have a fork. And I'm winning. And I played c3, and he took... And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to win a3. And then he went c5, and I was like, oh my God, that is a huge nuisance. Queen d3. Pawn takes c5. What do I play? Because again, I don't look at Stockfish every move. What I should have done here is I should have used my second move. But I get 3 left. And I thought this is really simple. He's gonna take, I'm gonna take, right? He can't take because I go here. So he's gonna take like this. And then I'm gonna play b4. That's easy. So then I thought, well, then what's he gonna play? Right? So, oh, he's gonna get out. So what? Then I play like b4, whatever. Nope, nope, no, this is the wrong move. c5, I played the wrong move. All my advantage is gone because his bishop gets out. I didn't know that. Again, I thought, oh, look at me, Stockfish. Magnus blundered. Magnus blundered. And then for some reason, I don't know. I didn't play queen d3. I don't know why. Maybe I thought his bishop is getting saved somehow, but it's just not. Like, the bishop is trapped. Maybe g6, I thought bishop f5. I don't know. I panicked. It's ridiculous. I should have just played queen d3. Instead, I forgot his bishop can get out. Then I went here. He took my pawn, and I went b4. I thought, okay, I'm a pawn down, but maybe I'm doing all right. Now, here I was surprised because he took, and then he played a5, which I thought was a bad move because it allowed knight b5. Now, that's accurate. It's a bad move because it's allowing me to get way too much activity. For the cost of a pawn, black has a lot of weaknesses and very passive pieces and a very weak queen. I'm using the queen as a piñata to get into the black position. Now, a5 is a mistake because of knight b5, but not because of my next move, which is garbage. I played knight c7, which is not the best move. And now I have a problem. Now I can't take because both pawns become weak immediately. I can't play b5 because I hang c5. So what the hell do I do? If I take this, that's fine, but okay, he's not going to hang the pawn. He's going to play f5. So I thought, all right, now it's time to use our second reference to Stockfish, and it did not disappoint. In this position, it found a gangster move. A move I did not even begin to think of, f4. And the idea of f4 is so dank, it's not even to trap the bishop, it's to also play rook f2 to try to trap the queen. I didn't see that. Like, this I could have seen. f5 I could have seen, but then g4 and f5, like, you try to stop this, and now I got rook f2 trapping the queen goes here. I played knight b5, and the queen is stuck. Queen e3, rook b3. Yo, the queen is trapped. That's crazy. I didn't see that. I didn't see f4 with the idea of playing bink, bonk, trapping the queen in the center of the board. Did not see that. Stockfish did. He took, and I realized that he's letting me trap the bishop so that he saves his queen, and we got to this position. I'm panicking here, man. I'm panicking. All right. I realized here the move rook takes b4 is not free because of a fork. That I at least saw. Apparently I can like sack and get out, but you know, so I went here first, then here, and then I thought, okay, I have 3 pawns I have a bishop, Magnus bot has 3 pawns, let's try to play this for a win. I can still reference Stockfish twice. I gotta be very careful. There's a lot of pieces on the board, which is good for me, because I'm up a bishop. So if I can secure this win. He played queen e2, I protected my pawn. He got out with the queen. I thought that was a weird move. I didn't understand it. I got out with my knight because I thought I need to bring the knight back. But black's position's still solid. So the question is, do we try to win this game like this with all the pieces we have? Or do we try to get into an endgame? What are we trying to do? Right? What are we trying to do? He went here. I went king h1. I didn't know what to do. So I moved my king off the center line. He went into my position. Man. All right, let me attack. Queen c4. Now here I thought about taking. Then I realized I hang a piece. Thankfully, I did not blunder that. So rook c1, he went here. And in this position, I had a very big moment where I was like, okay, what do I play, right? Like, do I go for an attack? Queen g4? He played f5. Now I thought, okay, I want to trade the queen. That's the human in me. I want to trade the queen. Or do I want to keep the queen for my own attack? I decided I'm going to keep the queen for my own attack. I don't know. I can play queen e2. I can play queen h5. It's all the same, right? Maybe it's, I don't know. He went here. Suddenly I realized, wait a minute. I could play rook e1. But hold on a second. Let me consult Stockfish. This is my third move. I got 1 left. Stockfish said, come back. That was not what I was going to do. So it pointed me in the right direction. I was going to go rook e1, knight d3, rook e2. Which loses. So instead of rook e2, I probably would have had to play something else. So it told me to come back, right? Rook a8, and then I was like, what about this? How about g4? Here's the idea. I'm trying to rip apart his defense. If he takes, I take with the queen. Get my queen in the game. If he takes my pawn, I have rook e1. So I'm going to win the e6 pawn. I thought that actually looks good. If I could get rid of these bozos, I might get into an endgame where I have a bishop versus one pawn max. So I played g4. A lot of that happened. And then here, Magnus played this. And I did not need Stockfish to find this tactic. If I take the queen, he takes my queen. So I sack my queen first on g7. And I was like, oh, desperado tactic. But when it all was said and done, I thought, wait a minute. I'm still only up a bishop for 3 pawns. I'm still not winning. This is nuts. I'm going to have to play 5 Stockfish recommendations. So I went here, and I was like, wait a minute. What is Matt? Why is he playing that? I have rook f1. It's over. He's going to have to give me the pawn. No, he went here. He sacked his rook. Here I panicked. Because despite being up a full rook, he's got 3 passed pawns, and I thought there is absolutely no way the AI did that without knowing it's going to make a comeback. But lucky for me, I had one last Stockfish recommendation up my sleeve. I budgeted it well. It went the exact way it should have. This is not easy to win at all. At all. But the winning idea is to go rook b1 and bishop f1. And I played rook b1, but to undevelop the bishop, protect that diagonal, and try to get an outside pass pawn. That is how you win. Bishop f1, this was terrifying, but the bot lost a pawn. And I think this is loss for black. Even though black has 3 pass pawns, my pawn is faster over here, and Magnus went all in. He just went here. And now I can give him this check, which apparently is a terrible move. Apparently it's a terrible move. Apparently, it was better for me to bring my king first. I went here thinking, oh, this is easy. I take here. But apparently, if he keeps his rook on the board, this is actually really hard to win. Like, how do I win this endgame? He's going to play king d4. If I play rook e1, I'm going to lose, by the way. Like, I'm going to find a way to, like, all these pawns are going to get through. So, but he traded with me, and I thought, oh, this is winnable. I don't have any more moves left, but I'm going to bring my king. I'm going to play rook b4. Rook b4 is intended to cut off his king. So he could play d2 and I go here. And the rest I managed to figure out on my own. Use my outside pass pawn. Tactical situation. The second he goes here, my bishop will cover. So I push my pawn the whole length. He can't take my pawn because I play rook takes f6. And I managed to win because his position is completely stopped. I stop him. I win the pawn. Yes, he can fork me, but he can't stop my pawn if he does that. And this was a nice, easy conversion. And thankfully, I managed to win. I managed to beat the Magnus bot with 4 recommendations of Stockfish. That was not easy at all. I had to keep a lot of pieces on the board for this game. And even when it got tactical, even when it got tactical, I was not able to find the best continuation. So the Stockfish recommendations were pretty useless because I kept getting myself into bad situations. But this was probably the most important move. Like, once I got the extra piece, I had hope. But, yeah, the critical idea probably was it preventing me from just, you know, like, me keeping my nerves and not trading all the pieces, but also coming back, finding this nice idea with g4 was good. And then here, actually, yeah, the Magnus bot just sort of panicked and did some crazy stuff. So it took 4. It took 4. Like I said, you shouldn't do this against humans. This is clearly not the way you're supposed to play, but I wanted to have a little fun. I wanted to challenge myself. And it's like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire when you got those lifelines. This was my lifeline. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully the games were instructive. Shows you how difficult it is to actually beat AIs. Also shows you how stupid people look when they actually try to cheat and get away with it because they can't. They don't know how. That's all. Get out of here.